Hi, it's Rich Hoffman here. Just a message to Lakota schools in the northern suburb of Cincinnati. School district I talk about a lot because it's in my hometown. You can find these same problems occurring in just about every public school district that there is out there. A lesson to the employees of Lakota schools. You got to stop trying to have sex with the kids. That's not permissible. And we've been trying to tell them for a long time that that's just not the way you behave. And that's because there's been a recent arrest, and it's happening much more than people want to admit. And the only reason that we know about this one, a guy by the name of Justin Dennis, he got arrested first Monday of August 2025 for sexual battery because he had a sexual relationship, according to the victim, a consensual sexual relationship with a 17-year-old girl back in 2021. Now he was married and he got divorced, and he's married again, I guess presently. He's got kids here, and there's all kinds of problems with this person as a human being. He's a flawed character, to say the least. And you can tell because his X account's still up. Current members of the school board have all kinds of interactions with him personally. So this is he's one of the insiders on the as far as the teachers and those who volunteer and do all the fun political stuff out in public that gets likes and shares on social media. He's one of those guys. Yet I guess he's part of a student support group at both Lakota East and Lakota West, and he's pretty well known, and he likes to advocate for himself as if he's helping mentor young people. But the testimony, the written statement by the victim, apparently she's grown up and is in college now, and she's thinking back on her high school days, and she's provided a statement that this teacher, they had sex a lot, a whole lot, and in the classroom, in parking lots, his place, her place, all over the place, and it was known by other people. It was not at all something that's a surprise to people who are involved. So this is during the period when we were talking about this former school superintendent who had to resign because people didn't like that he had a crazy sexual lifestyle. This also is on the heels of what I've been saying recently, that how can you do a facility plan and go ask for more money for taxes from the public off their property taxes when the members of the school board are known to have gone to out-of-town conferences and end up in states of undress and drunkenness, making fools of themselves. You really have a institution that uses children to hide bad adult behavior, because it's happening all across everywhere in these public schools. These employees that they say are so valuable, we got to pay them so much money to teach kids what? To behave poorly. So here you have, and this is what bothers me about this case, because the social media hasn't been scrubbed for him, people were able to go get screenshots of him. And you find out that this is actually a worse situation than what you initially hear from the police statement. Now, the reason why sexual battery is bad is because it's an abusive relationship. They had consensual sex. She was 17 years old. That's bad. He's 42 years old. There's a lot of social things wrong with that, but it's not exactly against the law the way the law is written. The problem is he's a public employee in a position of power and authority, and he's abusing his relationship to fulfill a sexual interaction. And that's where things get pretty dicey very fast, and where this becomes a problem. So you can't abuse your role as a trusted teacher. Now, this student, again, people go through lots of phases, especially when they're in their teenage years. And this is a young person that he, according to a post, this is what bothers me about one of these posts I saw. On her graduation, he put a picture up, And he said, "We did it, kiddo," as if he's been there as a mentor to help her get through some tough times. And word has it, because people, again, a lot of people have done some investigation on this and found out some of the details that you don't hear about on the news. Apparently this was a young woman who was thinking about becoming a young man, because that's the whole pronoun era. This is the Biden years when we had all kinds of people saying that transsexual behavior was accepted and good, and a lot of these kids get very confused when they hear that, especially from their teachers. And this is a person that was thinking of going from a female to a male, and decided to stay a female. And so she's currently a female, and probably going back through life and thinking about, did the adults around me at that time in my life do me right? Probably not. So you start thinking about regrets that you have as you start maturing into your 20s and early 20s, and thinking about the course of your life and the people who helped shape you in it. And you realize that some people took advantage of you, and this teacher clearly did. Now, the only reason anybody knows about this is because they came forward with a statement, and detectives were able to do a little confirmation, and made it. It's a pretty easy case, and it's a clear abuse of power from a public teacher abusing the relationship with a student. So here's the problem, and I've been trying to tell this to all this is the kind of guy, this teacher, this kind of guy who's got a posse of people that look at me and say, that crazy right-winged Rich Hoffman and all his people, they're crazy lunatics from the far right, and we'd be better off if we had a world without them in it, and that's what they say. And I would say the opposite. I can't stand people like this. I can't stand people who are big time progressives, and you have a taxpayer funded institution that is overtly using their government prestige to advocate a political ideology. And this guy is out there teaching children. He can't even keep his own life straight, and he's out there using children as a mask to hide his failures as a person. And because you have a decently paid public job, you get away with it. And then he's got a school board that covers for him, and he's got superintendents at the time that were doing really bad things as a sexual lifestyle, and that we've talked about quite extensively. And you find out that this isn't an isolated case here and there. Anytime you have a large population of people, you're going to have some who misbehave, but you're seeing here a systemic issue where it's a multitude of people, and they only regret it when they get caught. But there aren't too many people looking, and unless somebody comes forward like this young lady did and says, here's what happened. We had consensual sexual relationship in the classroom, in parking lots, all over the place, everywhere, lots of times. And but it was consensual. Clearly an abuse of power, because a person who's going through a tough time in their life, like this person obviously was, obviously confused in the world, and especially their education institution is saying, if you want to be this pronoun today or that tomorrow, the Biden administration says it's fine, do it. And you've got a bunch of adults misguiding young people, and when they're in vulnerable positions. And as a teacher, you have to fight off your animal instincts. If you walk by a knothole in the fence and you're a man, and you see a nice little hole, you don't get to just go put stuff in it. You got to say, that's not a good idea. I think I can fight off my animal instincts for pleasure to think bigger and provide mentorship. And that's what we expect to do. That's what we expect teachers to do. If you're in proximity with a bunch of young people, especially confused young girls or young boys, you're not supposed to go have sex with them. And there's no permissible attitude that can justify doing so. None. And here you have it, it's happening all the time. And because the school board misbehaves, because you have superintendents, the leadership misbehaves, administrators always getting caught doing these things. And here's a mainstream guy putting pictures of the students he's mentoring up on his Facebook. We did it, kiddo, for the graduation parties. we survived. Well, you didn't talk about all the times you were having sex in your classroom using that person's vulnerability for your sexual fulfillment. Why you're cheating on your wife or your wives, and you couldn't even keep your personal life together, and you're out there teaching these kids to do what? To live what kind of life? What are you doing that's so valuable that you have to teach these young people? Well, I went to school and learned how to teach liberal ideas to people. Well, maybe they're better off without those ideas. And maybe we're better off not funding it at all. That's what happens when you start seeing these people get in trouble. And I'm sure that apparently a lot of people have been whistleblowing on this, and the district covered it up. They get a lot of notifications for all kinds of people doing bad things, and they very much are always cautious of their public relations. But with this guy, you've got Julie Schaefer as a follower on his X account. You got Kelly Casper reposting his stuff. You know, people know what these people are doing because they hear about it. The buzz is out there. You're either really stupid or you're in on it. You're part of the problem. And that's why when they start getting in trouble, or they have a superintendent that gets caught doing all kinds of bad stuff, they go into cover-up mode because they want to be able to reserve the right to ask for more money, because they're just advocating a parasitic political demeanor at taxpayer expense. And they have lots of these employees. They're everywhere. There's a lot of people who are just like Justin Dennis. And there's a lot of people out there that are part of the hate group that goes out there and wants to call everybody who doesn't like to throw infinite amounts of money at these education institutions as hateful and bigoted. And they're standing against progress. Well, progress is not having sex with students in the classroom, which is what happened in this case. And they only found out about it because this person came forward and provided a statement that made it so that it was a clear abuse of power, and the police could then prosecute accordingly. Short of that testimony, short of that statement, who knows how many people out there are very embarrassed about their relationships they have with their former teachers, and they're not talking about it. And how many teachers are getting away with it right now? This was something that happened in 2021, and it's 2025. And I can guarantee you there's a lot of this happening right this minute. So when we talk about the problems with public schools, it's not that you want to be hateful, you'd like it to work, but you don't have a system that guards against this kind of abuse. And when you have a lot of young people who are in a vulnerable state in their lives, and they trust the adults around them, and those adults take advantage of them, like clearly happened in this case, it has to be prosecuted. And this guy needed to get arrested. He needs to have his life destroyed. And people like him shouldn't be teaching. But the clear signs were available before he got caught. And the school board knew about it, guarantee you they knew about it, and they definitely didn't act on what they knew. And every time they get reports of bad behavior, they're worried, well, if we fire all of our teachers, we won't have any teachers left. And we're not going to be able to recruit good teachers if the district is so mean to them all the time. We don't want teachers that want to come here and come to the district and have sex with the students. I think we'd be better off without those kinds of teachers. And if that means you have a teacher shortage, deal with it. Find some volunteers to come in and take care of the business. But you don't need to put people like that on staff. You certainly don't need to cover for them because you're afraid you're not going to be able to recruit people to come to your school and teach as employees. The system is wrong from the way it's built, from the top down, and it's a disaster. And there's no way to redeem it. And it's just one more story that comes out of Lakota schools that's horrible, and there's no way to explain it. And when we hear them, you get embarrassed as a district. I feel, it's a validation at some point, because I say all the time that you got to really watch these people. You can't just openly trust them. You certainly can't just trust them with your kids. But all too often, it's inconvenient to consider that these people are so parasitic. But knowing now that he had sex with this girl in the classroom, at the school, on the school grounds, how much of this is happening and right now, and how much of it's going unreported. You only know about this because somebody came forward and made it irrefutable. Thank goodness he did. Took guts. But a lot of people aren't talking about it because because it's too embarrassing. And that way you perpetuate these terrible circumstances to continue for long periods of time. And you don't have school boards or administrators that want to even touch the issue because they fear the ramifications. So that's how you end up with people like this doing this kind of stuff to kids and to go to the school. And it's far more common than people want to believe. But I'm glad the guy got arrested. I'm not surprised by the story. A little shocked that more people didn't come forward and do something about it sooner. But at least we have an opportunity to do it now. Anyway, it's Rich Hoffman here. Share, subscribe, make tomorrow a better day. If you ever read my book, Gunfighter's Guide to Business, I think you'll love it. Gotta watch those teachers. And when you have children in your care, no matter how old they are, even if they're 17 years old, or if they're 18 years old, you can't abuse your authority position for your own self-interest. Ever. Can't happen. Anyway, have a good day. See you later.